Hello, you are listening to the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio, your global feel-good radio. Today, we're going to be talking to one of my very favorite authors of all time, Cyndi Dale. And this is Catherine Carrigan. I'm your host, medical intuitive healer and Amazon #1 best-selling author. Cyndi wanted me to talk about my new book that just came out. It's called Reading the Soul. I'm super excited about it. You can find out more about me and my work at two of my websites, CatherineCarrigan.com and UnlimitedEnergyNow.com. While you're there, definitely sign up for my newsletter so you can learn more about how you can heal yourself naturally. Now, our guest today is the incredibly prolific author, Cyndi Dale. Cyndi Dale is an energy medicine healer. I've only written 10 books. Cyndi has written 27 books, counting. Can you imagine? I can't imagine all the editing. You can find out more about Cyndi Dale and her amazing work on her website, cindydale.com. Welcome, Cyndi Dale.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I know 27 is a bit superfluous, isn't it?
I just finished my 10th and I'm like, okay, now what do I write about? But it's so, encouraging to know that we never really run out of things to say, right?
You have 17 more books in you. So get going there.
Get going. Okay, now, there's lots and lots of people who write about the chakras, who talk about the chakras. Cyndi Dale has written a book that's 1,200 pages about the chakras. You want to show everybody the Llewellyn's complete book of chakras. So if you think you know everything about the chakras, do you know all 1,200 pages of Cyndi Dale's Llewellyn's complete book of chakras? So this is, the definitive guide to chakras. Now, today we're going to be talking about our 5 out-of-body chakras. So first of all, let's just start with the basics because some of our audience may not know. What exactly is a chakra?
Perfect. A chakra is a subtle energy organ or center. So everything about us is made out of energy. Energy is simply information that moves. And we know we have physical organs that work with physical or measurable energy, but we also have subtle organs that are made out of basically psychic or quantum particles and waves. And they manage our invisible subtle self, but they also run a lot of our physical and emotional and psychological self as well. And those are our chakras. They're subtle energy bodies that are able to change physical energy into subtle or psychic and vice versa.
Okay, now we're talking today about the 5 out-of-body chakras. Now, most people who are familiar, who know anything about chakras, usually think of 7 chakras. However, there are many systems, I've studied systems that argue that there's as many as 26 chakras. So how many chakras do you, who's written the 1,200 page book, how many chakras do you think we really have?
I think we have dozens, if not hundreds, to be really honest, because everywhere that you have 2 different kind of energies converging in your body or around your body, you get a vortex and you get a chakra. I work with 12 main chakras, and though 7 of them are the most well-known, especially from the Hindu 7 chakra system, because they can be found more or less in the body, within the spine, emanating in the front and the back side of us. But ever since I was a little kid, I could see 5 additional vortexes or chakras under the feet, above the head, around the body. So it was really natural that when I started learning about chakras, or really started to learn about what am I seeing, that I would start to label what have been called now those 5 out-of-body chakras.
Very cool. Now, so we're going to be talking today about the 5 out-of-body chakras. How can we perceive our 5 out-of-body chakras and where are they?
So let me talk about where they are and intro the how to perceive by talking for 1 second about intuition. because the way you perceive your chakras, whether they're in or outside of their body, is really different depending on how you read energy. Some of us are really kinesthetic, so we're going to feel or get a sense, or kind of sense hot or cold or boundaries to a chakra. Some of us are really psychically visual, like I am, so I see them inside of my mind's eye, sometimes with my eyes. Some of us are verbal, so sometimes we hear them, or we just label the chakra, and then we have a sense of where it is. So however you understand them, I'm going to walk you through them. All of us walk through them so you can get a sense of them. So we have the 7 in the body, and when we step up till about right here, I'm trying to get my hand in the clip, about 2 inches or so above the head is our 8th chakra. So just get a sense of it, or literally put your hand above your head and you'll feel sort of the bottom of a ball. The 8th chakra is the mystical chakra. It holds all the knowledge about our past lives, potential future, information, about what they call the Akashic records, everything you've ever gone through. So it's a land of delight, and it's the shamanic realm, and that's the shaman you. We step up one more and we'll see a gold energy center. It's above what you can see, but about an arm's length above the head. And that's your soul chakra in particular. It holds the key codes for how your soul is supposed to occupy your body in this lifetime. So it holds a lot about yourself. Your soul purpose, who you are, what you're here to succeed at, what your spiritual gifts are. And it's a lovely chakra. I mean, think of gold. We think of the heavens. We think of how we outstretch to the skies. And then I'm going to take all of us now down a loop. We're going to go underneath the body, underneath our feet. I can't even give you an example of this while I'm on the computer. So about 1.5 feet underneath the feet in the ground is your 10th chakra. It's typically seen as brown or some kind of earth tones. And guess what? That energy center really does anchor you into this physical reality, into the environment, the cosmos. It also holds the keys and the codes about your ancestry and your relationship with the ecosystem. So it's a really important one about how to be here in a good and healthy way. Now we're going to go out. We're going to go way out. The 11th chakra, which I typically perceive as sort of a rose color, is more like an energy field a few feet around from you. So imagine, if you would, being visual, that there's a pink cloud around you and it gets really congested and congealed around your hands and your feet. This is a really wonderful chakra to learn how to develop, because it allows you to command natural and supernatural forces. So those shamans who can change the weather, and I've met them in some parts of the world, or the generals who command the army and they follow, or the magicians who pull a real coin out of the air. Jesus walked on the water, 11th chakra. And finally, there's one that's really unique to each of us. It's the 12th chakra. It's a clear film on the outer bound of our aura or our energy field. And it contains what's really unique about you. I love to guide people into their 12th chakra to find out what very spectacular, unique spiritual gift they hold. For instance, years ago, I worked with a woman and I was doing a reading and she didn't tell me anything about herself. And I kept seeing this vision of a princess married to a prince who could tell stories, and the endings came true. And she said, well, I did marry a prince in a castle, which is really, and she's from America now. And she said, I've written 3 stories for friends of mine or their children, and the endings came true. In fact, a little boy who had leukemia was healed of the leukemia. So we go to our 12th chakra when we want to know what's very particular and lovely about who we are. So aren't those lovely lands and realms that are our own?
That's just so cool. Now, each of these chakras, the 8th through the 12th that we're talking about, what sort of gifts do they provide for us as we open and balance them?
Perfect. So when you're working with the eighth, which is that one, it's black and silver. I didn't say that before, above the head. When you really access that chakra, which locks into your thymus, you're able to do remote viewing, astral projection, soul journeying, conduct past life work for yourself or other people, get a sense of what possible futures there are out there, maybe make a decision based on which one's really going to make the most sense, and support you and others the best way. And it helps us be the shaman. It helps us be a priest healer, able to connect with different realms and different dimensions and different planets. I love that one because to me, that's just magic. I mean, that's just like, oh, where are we going to go today if I access that chakra? The ninth, which is the gold one, quite a bit above the head, I actually use it a lot for healing work. For instance, I frequently have people bring energies of love or energies of healing down through that chakra into and through their body, and it conveys into the system codes of how the body, the mind, the soul are supposed to be operating. I've had clients heal almost overnight of psychological problems, physical problems, because they bring the right soul codes in and then the body adapts. So it's a great healing tool. And it's one I work with very consistently and constantly. So you want to talk about the 10th chakra, underneath the ground, underneath the feet. Let's say you have a genetic issue. Well, you're going to look down there to figure out what it is. Is it caused by an ancestor? Did you inherit something? What's the story about it? Maybe do you need to clean it or clear it? Or you might work with it for allergies, food allergies or sensitivities or EMF sensitivities, because our body doesn't really readily adapt to human-made electromagnetic activity because we're supposed to be natural. But if you can adapt, you can access that chakra in order to do that. So however it is you want to get around and get along in the world, you want to work with your 10th. And the 11th, which is the rose one, that's about commanding, very few people use that one. I think, especially women, we're raised to think that if we have leadership potential or qualities, or if we start to move energies around, we're either bossy or witches. And it's great to be both, is it not? So, I mean, let's practice some commanding. We obviously don't want to wish for a windstorm to hurt somebody, but maybe we need some rain in the backyard to grow our garden. Or maybe we need to be really commanding with our dogs. Mine still don't really listen to me, and I practice all the time. They're like, you bring out a snack, we'll listen. So I'm still working on it when it comes to my pets. But we're able to command even tumors to be gone if we're so gifted. And then the 12th, which is way outside of us, that's where you can access it in the inside of your heart, drift out there, go inside, and learn about what's really special about you. There are gifts that we have, Catherine, that we don't have labels for. I think the Hindus call them the Siddhi, S-I-D-D-H-I, like super powerful gifts, but we all have our own special ones. Who knows what they are? I mean, I work with one client who is telepathic. He's a CEO and he's telepathic, and he can read the minds of people with Alzheimer's. What a beautiful gift. So we need to be who we are. And so we need to uncover that, which we can do through our 12th chakra.
That's very cool. Now, so many people, again, have only heard about the 7 primary chakras. Why do people think that there's only 7?
Well, back in the early 1900s, Sir Arthur Avalon, John Woodruff, he has 2 names, wrote a book. And he wrote a book about the Hindu chakras that caught fire here in the West, in Europe, in America, etc. And in it, he said there were 7 chakras, and that was the Hindu system. Now, he actually didn't say that. He actually said there were 6 chakras, and that this one on the top of the head was sort of just an energy, a spiritual energy center. But what we did with his book is decide there are 7 fixed chakras, even though in his book he says, in India, there are chakra systems with only 3 chakras. And I know a physicist who says there's only 3 chakras. And he said there's also energy, systems with dozens of chakras. So we sort of forgot to read everything in his book and we rubber stamped it and said, here's the chakra system. And of course, it's one book about the chakras, and we even misquote him. And, now it's become this is it. There's 7 chakras. So a lot of times when I say there's 12, and you might say 26, and some people may say there's 3 Dantians, there's only 3, you're looked at like you're sort of kooky instead of, it's sort of like pick your flavor. What's going to help you the most? I like the 12 because when people are working with their chakras, you can work with your chakras to figure out your personality, what might be wrong in your body, what energies or colors to bring in to enable health and healing. You can use your chakras to figure out how to eat, how to exercise, what your gifts are, what your calling is. I'd rather go with 12 than 7. It's a bigger number to describe who we are.
Yeah, way more information, right?
Totally.
So Cyndi Dale, here we are on the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio. How do these out-of-body chakras affect our health? Could you go through them one at a time and talk about when they're in balance, what do we experience? And when they're out of balance, what do we experience?
Yes. I'm actually going to start with the 10th chakra underneath the ground because that one activates at preconception. And then again, later when we're in our 30s, so 30s, 40s. So it is a really important chakra because it decides how we're going to connect to the earth, to this place that we're born into. So if we don't have a good connection, say our mom didn't want us, or we weren't, kind of welcomed, we didn't get our needs met in the womb, etc. If there's any imbalance, like really early on, that chakra is going to only be partially open, or it might be bringing in toxins or poisons from the earth. We might reject organic foods or materials. And it's really an important chakra for what's going to trigger in the body as we age. There's lots of studies that are suggesting that most of the illnesses, mental, emotional, physical, we develop as we age, actually get incited or activated in the womb. And they come from what's called our epigenetic material, this chemical soup around our genes that holds our ancestors' memories. Well, guess what? Those are activated because of the 10th chakra in preconception. So lots of illnesses can be autoimmune disorders, Parkinson's, mental imbalances. Obviously, they can come from many causes. I know that, but they can also be tracked back to our ancestors and an incomplete connection to the earth itself. You fix the 10th chakra and you have a good chance, of developing a healthier relationship with the environment and with how you're processing, how you relate to it, what you're eating, how you deal with microbes, your microbiome, your digestion, absolutely, your genetics, everything. So I always like to start with that one because it's really probably the most important, to be honest.
And so many people are so disconnected from the earth.
They are. You know why? Because we don't want to feel the feelings that are down there. So the lower the chakra is in relation to the body, the older the issues it has within it. So our ancestors' issues are like basically in our legs and our 10th chakra. And if they had a lot of trauma, we don't even go down in our legs because we don't want to feel their trauma. And, one of the in-body chakras, the first in the hips, that develops when we're in the womb to 6 months, that's going to hold a lot of our feelings, our issues, our traumas, moms and dads. So we tend not to be in our legs, and then we're not connected to the earth. So how are we going to process our food? How are we going to relate? How are we going to breathe and get the oxygen out of the air? How are we going to have a healthy genetic system? So I think the 10 chakras are, and it connects to the bone marrow too, which is of course immunity. It affects our nervous system. When we get startled, when we go through stress, people think it's the adrenals that react first. You know what? It's not. It's the bone marrow. The bone marrow produces a hormone called osteocalcin that tells the adrenals and the limbic system to go haywire. So I love emphasizing the 10th chakra. Get in your legs, get in your feet, get in the earth, put your feet in the ground. It's winter in Minnesota. You don't literally have to do that. Just pretend, right? Put them in a potted palm. I don't care.
Right.
That's the 10th.
And I really would love for our audience to learn about what we can do to balance these chakras. So should we talk about how to balance that, or?
Let's do that. Let's do that with the 10th. Let's do it really simply. In fact, we're going to balance the 9th above the head, the 8th, which is right underneath it, all the rest of the chakras in the body, the legs, and the 10th at the same time. How about that? So 8th again is shaman, 9th is our soul codes. So you don't even have to close your eyes. Obviously, if you're driving and you want to get balanced, you don't close your eyes. And if you're in a meeting and you don't want people to know you're weird, you don't close your eyes. You can close them or not, but take a couple deep breaths, because that 9th gold chakra locks into the diaphragm. And then ask whatever your source of connection is, spirit, God, your higher self, your doggies, whoever they are. Oh, don't worry about it. Mine will start soon, and then we'll have a heyday, 10th chakra heyday. All right. So just ask your connection to send down through your 9th chakra, above your head, a golden stream of energy. Let it go down through the 8th chakra, into the top of your head, all the way down your neck, your spine, through your hips, your legs. And it's just kind of pushing out what's not your energy and activating what's healthy for you. I'm hot while we do this, all the way down through the feet, down into your 10th chakra. It's underneath the ground. Even when you're in an airplane, it's underneath the ground. Just cleans it out. It's going to the inner wheel of the chakra, and it's activating each chakra. It's just bringing beautiful energy from each open, balancing them together, spreading that energy around, and literally surrounding you in this beautiful basking energy of gold. So you're now also energetically protected. Flow, and you're protected. And your dog knows it too.
I know. Dixie, let me call her. Dixie! Dixie!
My dog loves these exercises. They usually sit at my feet.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And and I would dare say walking barefoot and being in nature very much help our 10th chakra.
Yeah. Go barefoot when you're in your house if you can, or at least with stocking feet. Get outside. And you don't just have to have your feet on the ground for the 10th chakra. You can touch anything earthy. Bring stones around. You have sand. Like my house, I even have sand in my paint in the living room. I mix sand in the paint because I want to feel like I'm living in a forest, like I'm living on the beach. So anything you can do to bring greenery, to bring rocks, to bring wood, to bring nature in and around you is going to work for you. You can go to work in a corporation and have a rock in your pocket, and the shiny ones are pretty, but just use rocks. It's okay to just have rocks. They're more raw. They'll keep you in connection with nature around you as well.
Right. And you mentioned rocks. I understand that smoky quartz is very helpful for that earth chakra.
Yeah, smoky quartz is really good. It also takes the negativity kind of out of the atmosphere and transmutes it. Around my bed, I have limestone. I have big river rocks. I do all kinds of stuff with logs and stuff that I've toted from around the world, because there's different energies from different places on the planet. And so I like to feel like I'm literally part of the earth family. So I have rocks from other places in the world here as well. And you don't have to spend a lot of money to do any of that. I mean, when I look around me, I see a candle, I see sand with river rocks in it. I see 4 or 5 logs over there. I mean, it just keeps us grounded and processing energy in a really positive way.
Right. That's so helpful. And, when you work with people, I find a very large percentage of people are totally ungrounded.
They're not grounded.
They're not grounded. We're on the internet. We're in our heads.
Yeah. Yeah, and we have these deep emotions. Some of them are our own. A lot of them are our parents and our ancestors, or we get them from the world. There's a lot of pain out there. And so a lot of our lower, in relation to the body chakras, can pick up on what's happening in others, their feelings, their emotions, their physical sensations. So we get too scared to get grounded, to be in our body. But we're only going to be healthy if our soul is all the way in our body. I always like to say, wherever you aren't, something else can be. So you're not going to wait to clean everything out to like occupy this vessel. If you come all the way in, which you can do with deep breathing, putting your hands on your legs, touching your hips, shaking a little bit, stamping your feet, using your body, walking around, shouting really loud in your car, you know what I mean? Be alive. You'll go in your body, and whatever isn't your energy will exit. So we need to be, we need to move. And so unfortunately, the less grounded we are, the more stuff is in us that's not good for us or that isn't us. And, the more sedentary we get. I find most Americans especially, but also a lot of Westerners, are really kind of only in their body from like their solar plexus chakra up, which is the thinking chakra. So it's think, 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 think. And you can't think your way out of a paper bag. I can't anyway. You have to sense your way through reality. So get in the body.
Very, very helpful. Okay, so we've talked about the 10th chakra and how important it is to get grounded, be in all the way. So where do we go next to understand about our health?
Well, let me talk a little bit about 8th, 9th, and 11th in particular. So 8 is on the top of the head, a little bit above, but also in your thymus. You know what your thymus is about? Your immune system. It produces, immune hormones, etc. It tends to be not very active from about age, 2, 10 or so on. So breathe into your thymus and simultaneously connect with the other part of itself, the energy center above the head. And that's the place where if you're like questioning, how come I have this issue? Just relate to that chakra and in will pop an answer about what happened in your history. Or if you're worried about something that might happen, connect into one or two or both of those two places and say, what's the possibility that this might happen versus this might happen? I do all my mystical musings through the 8th chakra, and I connect to guides. So you can connect to otherworldly beings and characters and get guidance just by focusing on that chakra, again, here, up here, or both places. Ask a question and be open to receive an answer. You know what? It may not come right away. We're sort of into instant mixes in our Western culture, aren't we? Give it a couple days. Ask a question, open or sense that 8th chakra, ask a question, give it up to the universe, and then give it a day or two to get a sign or a dream or an omen or an indication. And 9th chakra is a little harder to understand. That's that 9th one above the head. But I think I probably gave you the easiest exercise to use for that one. Bring energy down through it. Aim it wherever you have a lack of comfortability, physically, psychologically, spiritually. It will bring into you the codes you need to be what you're supposed to be. And then I love, this thing with the 11th chakra. I'm sort of infatuated with it because so many of us haven't been raised in a culture where we have been taught or shown that we can actually command, if we have the gift, right? But to some level, we can command natural forces. We can command supernatural forces. Natural forces are those about the elements, air, water, fire, etc. I mean, it's not like we're supposed to be arsonists, right? And go, let there be a fire and burn down the house. It's more, I'm cold. I want to get warmer. Let me command fire element in and through my body. Or I have an inflamed area around my elbow. And so what do I need there to cool it down? Maybe I command in water and cool that area down. So we can start to play with the chakra that way for many different reasons. as well as when we're talking about supernatural forces. Here's the simplest tip I can give you for supernatural forces. There are two main kinds. There are degenerative forces, they're big but invisible, and generative forces, and they're big but invisible. A lot of times when a problem won't go away is because we have on it the wrong kind of force. So tumor, let's pretend there's a tumor. In fact, I was teaching a class last weekend and I showed the class, we worked on somebody's tumor, like a lipoma, a fatty tissue. It reduced in front of us, literally reduced. Part of all we really did is I just put a degenerative force on it, which takes away, and the tumor shrunk. That was it. It's just a force. So we want to degenerate forces like cancer. We want to generate money or happy thoughts or healthy tissue. So you can just do it with simple intention, connect with your higher self, connect with whatever it is you call the creator, and work with the natural flow, because I think most of us have learned we don't want to command something that's like nasty, right? You really don't want your karma working against you. So as tempting as it might be to kind of throw something bad on somebody because you're mad at them, it'd be better to degenerate your anger rather than generate a problem for them.
Cyndi, I always say the most selfish thing I could ever do is be kind and generous to everybody, because whatever I put out is going to come back.
It comes back. It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, so that's why you're selfish, is be nice to everybody, because then that's what you get.
Right? And guess what? You feel better. You're happier, you're healthier. Literally, they've had studies that show then your heart runs your body and everything works really well, and you sleep better, and you make more money, you have more friends. I mean, it is really selfish, isn't it? It's a good selfish.
Good, exactly. That's the true meaning of selfish, because that's when you get.
That's what it is.
Okay. So we've talked about 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th.
Yeah.
And what about 12? How does 12 affect our health?
This is what I encourage people to do. And if you want to take a minute and do it right now, that's great. The 12th is sort of iridescent and it's all the way around us, but it also connects into and through our body. So take a moment, because you can access it very cleanly in the very middle of your heart chakra. So here in the middle of your chest, under your sternum, there's sort of a hollow space that's filled with your own spirit, your own essence. Breathe into there and imagine that that's the core of your 12th chakra. That's the core of your spirit internalized. And your 12th chakra is your own essence externalized. And so here in this quiet space, this full space, this beautiful imprint of self, just start to get an inkling of what makes you truly unique. Maybe you get a sense, a memory, a vision, a feeling, a message about some very unique special gift that's particular to your spirit and only your spirit, something only you can do. And you may just have a sense of it right now. Whatever it is you get, just ask your spirit to let that knowledge grow so you can more and more and increasingly and more lovingly bring that into the world. Yeah. So that's your self.
Yeah. I tell everybody, you're already a VIP. You're a
They are.
You're a vibrational interference pattern. And your energy is unique to you, right?
Yes, we are the only we are the only I. We are the only you that is.
Yeah. And so once you realize that all you really have to do is be you, just be the best you.
Yeah.
Like exactly. Cindy's not here to be me.
No.
You're not here to be either one of us. You're here to be you.
Exactly.
So just really, dive into that unique vibrational interference pattern that you are and shine your light. right?
Exactly. That's the theme. I've been a big proponent of the 12-step programs, Al-Anon, etc. And I love it that they talk about how if you think about giving advice, don't. You can only say, this is what I would do, or this is how I feel, because you need to give space for that person to be who they are, because those answers are inside of them. They're not outside. But we can help each other. Of course, we help each other all the time.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. Now, Cyndi, as you know, we can balance our chakras, and in natural healing, we talk about things like yoga can balance your chakras, or Tai Chi, or Qigong, or receiving energy healing like Reiki can balance our chakras.
Yeah.
You know, what are some of the ways that we can balance these out of body chakras?
Well, you can use the same practices to do that. All you need to do is know that you're bigger than the chakras like under and right outside of your skin. So if you can perceive yourself as being more of what the shamans call being in an energy egg, you know, we don't end here. We don't end there. We're very much actually an open system. We're just made out of fields of light and sound. Okay. I mean, and there's vortexes of light and sound that are ours outside of here. So when I'm breathing, whether I'm doing yoga or Tai Chi or walking or meditating or taking a couple deep breaths to gather myself or to feel my feet on the ground or, you know, whatever it might be, I just acknowledge, you know, really, really quickly, all the chakras. I don't number in my head. That takes too long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, it's sort of like you just get a sense of all of you. You acknowledge all of you, say at the beginning of a yoga class or at the beginning of a stretch or before you go swimming or even before you read a poem, you know, or listen to music. You know, just acknowledge that you're bigger than the chakras that just emanate from the spine. And you know what? You'll feel a lot less trapped as a human being. You're going to feel your bigness and your ease and your access to other planes of existence and the presence of other helpers, invisible beings who can always be there, and your connection to the earth and the stars. And suddenly there's a community that goes beyond, you know, the human community we might be next to. There's a whole community that we can connect with when we just acknowledge before we do something that's balancing or fulfilling for ourselves. We get so much bigger. And so we can be given so much more. We can give more and get more too.
I just love that advice. Yes. And, you know, a friend of mine says, you know, every morning when she takes a shower, she just imagines the water is cleaning not just her physical, but her energy system. And then she visualizes the colors of all these chakras.
Beautiful.
And now that you know about the extra chakras and you can visualize these colors, right?
Yep, do the same thing. Yep. Or just rub your hands together, you know, with that intention that you're going to bring energy into them for all your chakras. Rub your hands together, open them up, and whatever those chakras need to energize in or outside of the body, just spread around.
Right. Now, Cyndi Dale, you know, master energy medicine healer, as you know, our chakras can either be open or closed, and they can be congested or even damaged. What are some of the common causes of chakra dysfunctions?
Well, most of us emerge from childhood with damaged, perforated, shrunk, too open, too closed chakras, etc. Because our chakras, one of their jobs is to help us adapt to the environment. And so if dad's always angry, maybe through our feeling chakra, we take in dad's angry to help him not be so angry. And then we walk around the world and we absorb everybody's anger. So we wonder why we're always tired, or we wonder why we're always angry, or whatever. So whatever we're exposed to when we're little kids, and however our chakras adapt to it, we're going to go into our junior high, teen years, etc., with compensation. So for instance, if mom never had any energy, there's 6 kids, you're the oldest, you might have given her some of your life energy or your 10th chakra energy. And then for the rest of your life, you just unknowingly give other people your life energy. So you wonder why you're always fatigued or sick or tired. So I typically look to childhood for a lot of that. But of course, our own behaviors as we go into adulthood make a big difference. So different substances impact different chakras in different ways. So the first chakra in the hip, for instance, is very vulnerable to the hardcore drugs, that it often gets really dismantled and puny, and exhausted if we do anything from hard alcohol to cocaine, etc. And if we're doing some of those kind of substances because we're looking for a high, well, in a weird way, we get a high. What happens is we get this, you and I talked about it before we started our call, this sort of cloudy substance above our head. So we're not really getting these great psychedelic experiences. We're just attracting entities or negative energies or negative forces or pictures from other people or fantasies and nightmares, to cling to us. So anything that's not really us can damage a chakra or multiple chakras.
Right. And for our audience, before Cyndi, Dale, and I got on our recording, I was talking about how what I see is that when people do what I call stupid drugs, and I'm talking marijuana, a lot of people think, oh, legalize marijuana. Well, and Cyndi and I, she's shaking her head, energy healers, we are against marijuana. It literally clouds your energy field. And cocaine and heroin and all these horrible drugs, yes, they damage your body, but they're creating this energetic debris. And what that does, from my experience, it creates this cloud in your energy field. You're not able to connect to your soul guidance, right? You're not clear. Literally, you're not clear.
As Harry Potter would say, you're stupefied. And that can happen if you eat too much sugar, or drink too much. I mean, wine really impacts the heart chakra. Different chakras, different things. I have nothing against somebody having a glass of wine to be in communion, but a lot of times people go for the wine because they're really lonely. And then guess what? That heart chakra actually shrinks and they feel more lonely. Smoking does the same thing. So different chakras are impacted by different substances and different behaviors too.
Right. So many people come to me because they want to open their intuition and they want to use their intuition more. Well, you can't use your intuition if your energy field is clouded by all these stupid drugs.
Exactly. Or grief. A lot of times when we have a lot of grief and we haven't felt it, it's like a drug around the system too. It's like a drug that puts us in a stupor and we can't connect to spirit. For instance, a lot of times when somebody loses a loved one, if they don't grieve, the grief is a cloud and they want to connect to the deceased. They can't because that grief is a cloud. Now that's a good protective sort of buffer immediately when they have to do their feelings before they reach to the other side. But something will, whatever we don't process lingers in a chakra and or in our energy field too.
Right. And I have to ask your professional opinion about psychiatric medication. And, for our audience, we have no judgment, okay? And everybody's on their path. But, in the US, I think something like 12% of the population uses antidepressants.
I know.
10 books are about how to heal depression without drugs. So how do the psychiatric medications affect the energy field in your
First of all, they're limiting. They limit the energy field. So let's say you take an SSRI like Prozac. And I have a friend who's been on Prozac 30 years and it works for her. And it's like, stay on the Prozac because we're also made out of chemistry. So if our body can't make something, give it to it. So that's why we eat, because we can't manufacture magnesium. We have to bring it in, etc. But they're also very limiting. They limit the chakra. They close it down. They tend to close it out, or they can blow it open also. And whatever you impact one chakra, you limit the others, or you blow open another one as well. So they tend to be very, very, very limiting. And that's what's sad. When my mom died, she died a few months ago, I went to my OBGYN, who's an OBGYN, not a psychiatrist, right? I said, my mom just died. She said, have you gone through anything big? And I said, my mom just died. And she asked if I wanted meds. She said, do you want a prescription med? And I'm like, maybe I should just cry. Maybe I need to cry. Maybe I need to be with this. Maybe I need to be in my body. Maybe I need to create a memory book. Maybe I don't need to shut it off, because too often we're shutting something off. And if we do use these meds, they tend to only be effective at any rate, very short term. There's lots of studies, even from a medical point of view, that, for instance, running can be more effective than an SSRI. Meditation and hopefulness can be more effective, than an anti-anxiety med. So we have a subtle energy system that can help us maybe not reach for meds, because instead we can reach for a spirit to help us, or figure out what herb to take, or how to be in our bodies in a better way, or where our traumatized self is, so we can process and help that inner child, or we can remember a past life that might be impacting us. We don't want to dumb down. It's really just, let's not dumb down.
Let's not dumb down. And, that's what we're all about here at the Natural Healing Show, is teaching people, how do you handle life in a natural way? And, Cyndi mentioned exercise. Really that's what motivates me. I exercise an hour a day. I went to the gym today. I teach yoga. I do Qigong. I walk my dog in the park. And the research is that, there was a study done at Duke University. They had 3 groups. A group that exercised, a group that took antidepressants, and a group that took antidepressants and exercise. Short-term exercise alone is as effective as the drugs. Long-term exercise alone is more effective for treating depression than even exercise and drugs. So exercise is very, very huge.
Because exercise makes drugs in our body. We have 7 joy molecules: adrenaline, dopamine, endocannabinoids, oxytocin. We have molecules in the body that do what meds are so-called doing. So you move around, you eat right, you spend time with a loved one, you get a pet, they're really good for those bonding hormones. That'll do the same thing.
Absolutely. So Cyndi Dale, any final thoughts for our audience about the out-of-body chakras? And of course, you can read Cyndi's 1,200, page book, the Llewellyn's Complete Book of Chakras. So if you miss something.
Or you can just Google Cyndi Dale 12 chakra system and it'll pop up too. And that's far cheaper and easier to carry around. Yeah. Just get to know these parts of yourself. They're your centers. They afford you grounding, upreach, outreach, spiritual guidance, unique gifts, and enjoy them, and, kind of share what you know with other people.
You've been listening to the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio. I'm your host, Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer and Amazon #1 bestselling author. You can find out more about me and my work at catherinecarrigan.com and unlimitedenergynow.com. While you're there, definitely sign up for my newsletter so you can learn even more about how to heal yourself naturally. And you can find out more about Cyndi Dale, energy medicine healer, and her 27 books at cindydale.com. And remember, when you keep your 5 out-of-body chakras open and balanced, you're going to be healthy. You're going to naturally reach your intuition and your soul guidance. You're going to be full of energy and happy. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.